demand. We had seen the demand graph and supply graph yesterday. So today we'll see how we do the demand forecasting, what are the methods of demand forecasting and types of forecasting. I'll just tell only few topics because the number of students are less. So after the new topics, we'll just revise it, and if time is there, I'll show a video for you. It's just how can a student or any person, how can they do out of waste, from the waste, how can they do the best, and they can be as an entrepreneur. Like yesterday we had seen Byju's CEO of Byju's. So he was a self-learned person. From his uh, the teaching methodology, from his teaching profession, he had become an entrepreneur, right? So today I'll just show how to make from the waste to the best. Okay, from the waste, how can we make a best product? So a person, he had an ambition to buy a sports car. Okay, but he couldn't afford the price of the sports car. So what he did, he had a Maruti Zen car. It was a scrap car. Okay, so he took that scrap car and he had turned it into a sports car. So from this, why I wanted to project this video is, I'm telling you, an entrepreneur, it is not like an tagline to you. It is not a tagline to you that I am an entrepreneur. Like, it is not from the way that there are some forefathers to you, or the fathers who is having an investment in their hand. Even a qualified person or an illiterate person, any person can become an entrepreneur. I wanted to motivate you that even from the waste also you can make the best out of it. Okay, and I had said some of the example, like they are making baskets out of a banana leaf and they are selling it for rupees 800. The basket price is rupees 800. Just imagine, just making out of the waste, and they are selling it in the one of the famous shopping mall, that I have said that it's see, I've seen it in the IKEA. Okay, so I'm telling you, sitting in the home and studying and working in some organization, also on other side you can also become an entrepreneur. So I had been telling you, like, go and do the survey. How you will know that? Let's say I'm having a goal that I wanted to be a business person, but setting a goal or having some targets will not help you. You should also study. Let's say if I want to manufacture a mobile phone in my hand, I should know what is the demand of that product in the market. Okay, see, just like that, I cannot manufacture it and I cannot launch it. But knowing the demand of the market, what is the competitor doing, the same product the other competitor will also be doing. So you have to do the survey, go to the shops or nearby shops. It could be a tea stall or a grocery shop or a mobile phone or any TV appliances shop or a big large scale unit. If you talk with them only, you will know what are the strategies and what are the business plans they are doing. Unless if you have a very good rapport with them, or in your relatives, if you have any entrepreneur, talk with them. What are the sketch they are doing, what is the structure they are following, to whom they are approached, what are the application forms it is there, like Startup India. Okay, there are some organizations which are supporting the young graduates. Okay, so if you can only get the knowledge when you are having a practical experience or a practical talk with them. So generally, when I'm now the topic is about the demand, how to calculate the demand of the product. Okay, we had seen many topics, like some topics like how to calculate the price, how to give the price tag for the product. How you're doing this? By having a survey, by having a talk with the consumer, by having a talk with the customers. Okay, by having a talk with the buyers, you will get some information. Unless if you just sit it and if you do a research work through the books or any papers, you will get only the quantitative analysis, but qualitative analysis you cannot get it. Unless if you do a survey, you will get a qualitative analysis. So I'm telling you, I'm been telling you that please go and talk with them and treat this as like if you are going to set up a startup and you are becoming an entrepreneur. You are still in a present stage. For the future, what you have to do, you are assessing the future, but to assess the future you have to do some work and survey and go and talk with them and get the information, right? So let me share the screen now. Yes, can you see my slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, yesterday, I had shown the demand curve. The x-axis is for the number of products that are being sold per day, and y-axis is the price of the product that is being from the ascending to ascending order. Okay, and then in the next graph, I had shown a supply curve, where supply curve is nothing but it's an inversely proportional of the demand curve, where like a seller will be willing to sell the products if the price of the product is more, then the seller will be willing to sell the product. It is obviously, as if I am a seller, I'll have an intention to sell my products if I have highest price, right? So ultimately I wanted to gain the business. I wanted to gain in terms of profitability. So that's why the supply curve will be always inversely proportional to the demand curve. You can see here at 1 pound, the number of products sold by the seller is about 4,000 apples. Okay, when the price is coming down from 1 to 0.8 pounds, he had sold only 3,000 apples. He had sold only 3,000 apples. But at 0.6 pound, he had sold very less, 2,000 apples. Okay. At 0.35 pound, he had sold only 1,000 apples. So by this, you can conclude it that supply curve, the supply curve will increase as the price of the product will increase. Okay, so now we'll combine both the curves, both the lines. That is, the blue colored one is the supply line and the red colored one is the demand line. So when I'm combining the both, you're getting a common intersection, that you call it as equilibrium price, where where the demand of the product and the price both will be at the same intersection. You can see here, the at 0.6 pound, the number of apples were sold was 2,000, and you can take this 0.6 pounds as an equilibrium price, because it is intersecting at the both lines at where the two lines are intersected. When you drop this to the y-axis and z-axis, you will get a price to the y and number of apples to the x-axis. So 0.6 is an equilibrium price when you take sales and demand graph into consideration. So why I had shown this graphs to you is, before studying what is the demand forecasting, you should know why you're forecasting a demand. Why the definition of, when you study the demand forecasting, you should know what is a demand is nothing but, if the price is down, ultimately the consumer will try to buy more number of products. So more number of products, if the more number of products are sold in a market, the demand will be more for that product, right? So now we'll see what is a demand forecasting. I'm getting a disturbance now. Please mute your mics. Please mute your mics and do not disturb me in between. Okay, so now what you are doing, you are forecasting the demand. What is the meaning of forecasting? Forecasting is nothing but you're estimating in the future for the future. You're estimating in the present for a event, right? In the future, what could be happening to the product when I'm selling in a market? What could be the changes in the market? That changes, you are studying it, you are estimating in the present tense. You're estimating the future, in the future what is going to happen to that product, right? So that you call it as demand forecasting. Estimating in the present for a future occurring event is called as a demand forecasting, right? It is just like a technique. It is either you can, demand forecasting is of different varieties. Some take surveys, okay, some take a math, some do a graphical methodology, some analysts, they will do a mathematical regression. You know what is a regression method? Regression method is like you will be framing an equation, mathematical equation, and thereby you will be forecasting the demand, okay? So the methods will be varying based on the product, or based on the market you are selecting, or based on the survey methods, okay? So generally it is a technique to estimate the probable. What is the disturbance going on? Are you not understanding my session? Yes, it is a technique to estimate the probable. Who is talking in between? Who is talking in between? Who is talking in between? Some person is leaving the session in between. 2004. Do not do this. It is just a 50-minute session. Listen it, and already the number of students today is just 39. Right? So demand forecasting, it's a technique to estimate the probable demand for the product or the services which the entrepreneur is providing. Okay, so the best example is, let's say a product. Okay, I'm manufacturing a Naresh 2074. Naresh, shall I remove from you, remove from the class? Naresh, I'm getting sounds from you. Okay, fine. So, like, let's say I wanted to manufacture a product of X. Okay, my manufactured product name is X. Okay, and how do I do the demand forecasting for the product X? Now I have manufactured in the month of January. I'm giving in terms of month. Okay, so now I have January, February, March. For 3 months I'm calculating for the product X. So for January, I had manufactured 200 units. Okay. For the February, I had manufactured 250 units. For the March, I had manufactured 300 units. So now from this units, like, it is been increasing. Initially it was 200. It slowly increased to 250, and it slowly increased to 300. So from this number of units, as the number of units are increasing, I can say that there is a demand for my product X, isn't it? So as the number of units is increasing with an interval of 50, 50, 50 in the month of January, February and March. So by this number of units, as there is an increase in number of units, I can say that in the month of April, January, February, March, and in the month of April, I can forecast that I can manufacture the number of units. I can increase the number of units to 350 or 300, but not less than 200. So this is the way where some of the analysts will be doing the forecasting of the number of units based on the demand of the product in the market, and slowly they will be increasing the number of units. So that's the way why we need a demand forecasting in a firm, is like it will say you, it will tell you where is the risk that is going on. I had been saying you in from the starting, from the day one, an entrepreneur has to calculate the risk what is occurring in his firm. How he calculates the risk? By doing a forecasting, either in the demand or in the financial or in any aspects. He can forecast the demand of the product in the upcoming duration, or in the long term duration, or in the short term duration. He will be able to forecast the number of units what he wanted to manufacture, right? So that's the way where he can reduce the risk, and it will help in giving the efficient decision. When you do a forecasting, when you predict the future, you can decide, okay, something is going wrong with the number of units. As the number of units are dropping, there is a less demand for the product. So what should I do? Either it could be change in the ideology, or change in the improvement of the product. In all the aspects, the entrepreneur will be deciding, and the risk taking will be reduced. Okay, so that's why we need a demand forecasting. Okay, so this demand forecasting, and on the other side, it depends upon the area of the firm, like national level or international level. If your firm, you're trading internationally, the forecasting, the forecasting of the product will be different. Okay, if you're selling the products directly from the manufacturing to the buyer port, the demand forecasting will be different. So that's why a demand forecasting, when you are doing a forecasting of the demand, you should also see the area of the firm which you are choosing. Okay, so now like what is the significance of a demand forecasting? What's the importance of the demand? I had said, like, it helps in reducing the risk. Okay, it helps in efficient decision making. So some of the points I had written in the slides here is the first point: fulfilling the objectives of the business. We had seen, like, there are two different types of objectives, like general objectives, and there are operational objectives. So this demand forecasting will help you in fulfilling this type of objectives what you are setting, the targets what you are setting, the vision and mission of the business. So it will help you to fulfill the targets. Okay, so for the preparing the budget, for taking the management decision, for evaluating the performance, for evaluating the performance of the product, or performance of the subordinates in your firm. Okay, for all these, the demand forecasting will help you a lot. Okay, coming to the next slide. So in the next slide, I had given the title called types of demand forecasting. So there are two different types of demand forecasting. The first one is based on the economy, and second one is based on the time period. Okay, I repeat it, the demand forecasting is of two types. The first one is based on the economy, second one is based on the time period. Okay, so again, the first one is economy. The name itself, it says that based on the economy of the nation, or when you take in terms of international level, or in terms of some in a rural area or in an urban area, what is the it will show, it will study the influence of your enterprise with the economy level also, right? So based on the economy, it is again divided into three different varieties. The first one is a macro level, second one is the industry level, third one is a firm level. First we'll see what is macro level. Okay, so you can say that macro is nothing but entire level. It is concerned about the entire level. It deals with the general economic environment related to economy, and it is measured by the national income and index of industry production. Macro level is nothing but it is a generalized economy in terms of economy environment. As we know, we had studied in the second unit, there are different environmental factors that are being equipped with an entrepreneur. If I'm an entrepreneur, I have to see the macro level. I have to see what is in my industry level. Okay, I have to see which is what is the if I'm producing a product, what is the influence of the product with a social level or with an economic level. So when you talk in terms of, well, you will be concerned about the general economic environment. Okay, so that you call it as macro level. The second one is, again, it is constrained. It is constrained to only industry level. Okay, it deals with the demand of the a product of the industry product as wholesale. Here you will be thinking only on the industry level. So the boundary here, it is now the diameter of the circle what you are drawing. In the macro level, the diameter will be large because it is concerned with the whole economic level of the nation. But in the second one, industry level, here the diameter of the circle what you are drawing, it is less than the macro level because you are concerned only about the industry product. Okay, the example is like calculating the demand of the cement in India, demand of the cloth in India. Okay, so you are concerned about only forecasting the demand in the industrial products. Okay, that you call it as industry level. Third one is firm level. Here it is the circle what you are drawing, it is still smaller than the industrial level. Here it deals with the forecasting of the demand for a particular firm. For a particular firm only, if you are forecasting the demand, that you call it as firm level. The example is like the demand for the Birla cement. If you are taking the under cement industry, you are calculating the demand for the Birla cement. Okay, for the KCP cement. Okay, demand for the cloth, demand for the Raymond cloth. If you are taking under cloths industry, under textile industry, here you are again constraining and you are going the level is narrow now. Okay, so now you're calculating the demand of the Raymond cloth only. So the particular industry name is mentioned, Raymond. So here you are considering only the firm level, right? So that are the different types of levels when you're talking about economy. So now when you talk about the time period, there are again two types. Okay, short term forecasting and second one is long term forecasting. Short term forecasting is like when you're calculating the demand or when you're forecasting the demand for a short period of time. For a short period of time, let's say only for 6 months or less than 1 year. The duration for of demand forecasting the demand here will be from 6 months and bit less than 1 year. That you call it as short term forecasting. Okay, so the second one, long term. The name itself, it is telling that here the duration will be very long. Okay, generally it will be between 2 to 5 years, okay, or more than 5 years. 2 to 5 years or more than 5 years. Generally in long term forecasting, you will be concentrating on the major developments of your firm. Like if I want to start a new startup from the parent startup. Okay, just like if I want to harvest the company and I wanted to start a new business out of the parent one. So that decisions you cannot take it instantly, right? So it takes about 2 to 5 years or more than 5 years or more than 10 years to decide which type of business you wanted to start, or to expand the plant capacity, or if you wanted to expand the business, or in terms of the plant, or in terms of the size of the firm. Then you cannot take it instantly. So there comes the long term forecasting method. The long term forecasting method is like the time period will be of more than 5 years. Okay, so now these are the types of demand forecasting based on the economy and based on the time period. So now we'll see in the next slide. Before going into this slide, I would like to give a diagram. So this tree diagram is about, the classification diagram is about what are the different methods of a demand forecasting. Till now we had seen what is the definition of a demand forecasting, why we need the demand forecasting, and what are the types of demand forecasting. Like if you wanted to do in terms of the time, or you wanted to do in terms of economy, the methods will be different. So basically the demand forecasting techniques are classified into two different techniques. Okay, one is qualitative technique and second one is quantitative technique. Let me use the first one is qualitative technique. The first one is qualitative technique and second one is quantitative technique. Under qualitative technique, you have survey methods and opinion polls. Okay. Under survey methods, you have complete enumeration survey and sample survey. Now we'll see the quantitative technique. Under quantitative technique, you have time series analysis, smoothing techniques, barometric methods, econometric methods. Under econometric methods, you have regression analysis. I said that regression analysis is nothing but it's a mathematical where you will be framing a mathematical equation, and I suggest like this regression equation in your final year projects. Many of the students will be using this technique. Either it could be, it is not dependent upon the branch you are doing. The regression equation is like a mathematical framing whereby you will be predicting the outputs out of from the experimentation. You will be predicting the outputs. So the students, if you are whoever is interested to do this any forecasting techniques or experimentation on any branch, either it could be civil or EEE or ECE mechanical, they can use Minitab software. I repeat it, Minitab software is the best software to do the regression analysis. I'll type it here. I will type it here and you can please start studying this. This will help you in your final year project, Minitab. Okay, Minitab and MATLAB also. These are the best softwares to do the regression analysis in any branch. Okay. Right. So now we'll see, for today's class, we will see the qualitative techniques and tomorrow we'll see the quantitative technique. Let's see what is a qualitative technique. Okay, qualitative is nothing but like we had seen like in the past previous classes, there are two different types of gathering the information. The first one is the primary information and second one is the secondary information. Secondary information is like already the written literature, from the literature or from the historical data. From the historical data, you will be collecting some information which is relevant to your enterprise. Okay, so in qualitative technique, if you do not have any information or any historical data or any census, any data related to your product, you will be doing a survey. You will be collecting the information from the point of the consumer, from the consumer end. You will be going to them and you will be asking and you will be taking some information and you will interpret the data. Okay, that you call it as qualitative technique. So qualitative technique under survey method, like survey method, like it depends upon the future purchase of the purchase plan of the consumer. See, like if I'm a consumer of a product, I'm maybe thinking like there could be if there is some improvement to the product, I will be choosing that product. The willingness of the product depends upon the consumer attention towards the product, isn't it? So here you will be conducting the survey with the consumer, and you will be determining the demand of the existing product. For the existing product, you will be going to the consumer and interpret the data, gather the data, and you will be forecasting the demand. Okay, and we had seen like there are two different surveys in the previous class. First one is a census survey, and second one is a sample survey. In census survey, what you will be doing, you will be collecting the data from the whole potential consumers. Let's say in a market XYZ, there are 100 consumers who are buying the product from you. So you will be taking the survey from the whole 100 consumers who are the repeated consumers. For let's say there are the repeated potential consumers are 100. So you will be gathering the information from the whole 100, and from this you will get an aggregate demand. Okay, aggregate demand is the total of all the gathered information, and from that you will get the demand. Okay, the second one is the sample survey, where you will be selecting only particular sample from the potential consumers. There are 100 consumers in XYZ market. You will be taking only certain certain sample from that 100 size, and you will be taking the average demand. So I would like to differentiate in the complete enumeration survey, you will get an aggregate demand, but whereas in sample survey, you will get an average demand. That's the difference between census survey and the sample survey. Okay, right. So that's a way whereby you will be having a one point contact with the consumer, and this analyst, they will take the survey, and now they will study on it, and they will forecast the demand, the present demand of that product. Okay, so the second one is the opinion polls. Opinion polls, the name itself says that you will be taking the polls. You know that some like in some of the classes, the faculty is giving you the polls, and they are asking you to give the feedback of it. Okay, so the opinion poll method is like taking the opinion from the experts. Here you are not considering the consumer, but you are taking the opinions from the experts. There will be some experts in a market, like some experts will be based on some experts, they can tell you where is the demand rising and where is the demand dropping, where could be the equilibrium demand. There will be some sales representatives in the market. Okay, some consultants. So by from these persons, like sales representatives, consultants and experts, you will be taking the opinion, and you will be now gathering everything, and you will be studying on it. That you call it as opinion poll method. Okay, in opinion poll method, you have again three different methods. Okay, there are let me write it here. Okay, there are three different methods. The first one is expert opinion method. Okay, expert opinion method. The second one is Delphi method. Delphi method. Third one is market study and experiment. Okay, so under opinion poll method, you have three different ways of taking the opinion from the expert. First one is expert opinion, second one is Delphi method, third one is market study and experiment method. Okay, so let's see what is an expert opinion method. Expert opinion method is like they will be selecting certain number of sales representatives a market. In let's say if I'm let's say in Telangana, there are about 5 different localities which is divided. My product is being launched in the 5 different regions. So from the 5 different regions, I will be selecting certain number of sales representatives, and now I will be taking the opinion from them. Okay, this sales representatives, they can be an experts or they can be a consultants, and there could be a sales representative. So from these three persons, I will be taking the opinion from five different regions of the same product what I'm launching, and now I will forecast the demand. That you call it as expert opinion method. Okay, the second one, the Delphi method. Delphi method is like to the sales, to the experts only, to the expert. There is a person called expert. Okay, there is a person called X, his name is X. Okay, he is an expert. Okay, to this expert person, what I will do, I will submit some estimation and assumption of that product. I have already framed a document of the estimation of the product and some assumptions. Okay, I will give that file to that X person and I will ask him to study. As he's already an expert and he has all the, he will be thinking about all the nook and corners and he know how to forecast the demand of that product. Okay, to that X person, I will be giving my documentation, that is like estimation of the product or price tagging, assumption, what could be the demand, everything what I have, I'll give the file to him, and now he will study on it and he will be seeing the market and he will revise the file to me and he will give the revised file back to me. That you call it as Delphi method. Already the written assumption will be revised by an expert, is called as a Delphi method. Last one is the market study and experimentation. Market study and experimentation is like, initially what I will do, I will go to the market. I will talk with the consumers, okay, and the competitors, consumers who are concerned about my product, who are concerned about the who are influencing my product. Okay, I will go to them and I will take the like different aspects like population. Okay, cultural effect, social effect, what is the preference of the product. Okay, what are the opinions they need to that consumers, to the selected consumers. I will take these aspects: population, one is the aesthetic look. Okay, one is the preference regarding the change in the product. Okay, all these aspects I will take, and now I will take the rating of each and every aspect. Okay, like number of size, number of units the consumer is willing. Okay, well, if is the consumer is likely to have some improvement, all these aspects I will take, and now I will be choosing the best out of the selected aspects. So here in market study and experimentation, you are not uh, forecasting about the opinion or the changes, but here you are taking the different aspects of the product and you're choosing only the one best of the one best from the selected aspects. That you call it as market study and experimentation. So here, whatever the survey method or sample survey, opinion polls, all these are like a qualitative method where you are getting a primary information is like which is not done before. You are getting a new information and you wanted to forecast the demand of the product. What could be, if I'm launching the product, is there any risk in terms of number of units or in terms of the demand or in terms of the same product that is produced by the competitor? What is the, in all aspects you will be studying qualitatively. So this is one of the method under demand forecasting technique, right? In the next class we will be seeing the quantitative technique, and here you will be having the mathematical method and graphical method, time series method, smoothing method, barometric method. We'll see it tomorrow. Okay, so the time is 12:03 now. So let's see the video what I had downloaded today. That's like from the waste, how he had made the best sports car. Okay, give me a while. Right? So he had done something, don't see about the price, he had sold for 2.55. Okay. So, but he had a goal in his mind whereby he wanted to get for buying a sports car. You will not get it for 2.55 lakhs, isn't it? It is more. It is about, I don't know the price of the sports car, but you cannot get it for 2.55. But he sold the sports car from the scrap and he did new thing. So I think every student or any person, they have some or the other some or the other goal in their mind, but they cannot achieve it, they are not coming out. I can see there are many. I can see out of 120 to 150 students, at least one entrepreneur, at least one person will be having that just in their heart, but they are not coming out. So by seeing these videos, I wanted to motivate you, and please do the survey and try to come out of you and give the seminar. So this tomorrow, Wednesday, triple E students have a chance, 1 hour chance to give seminar. So I request them voluntarily, please come out of and tell your names and give a seminar. Either it could be of how to do the project financing in India, or your own ideas, or any case studies. Please come out of and give the seminar, whereby you will remove the stage fear and you will be moving out of it. And in the corporate world, they will see you how well you are presenting. They will not see your work, how well you are presenting and how well you are designing the output. That is the methodology in the corporate offices or in any institute. So you have 1 hour extra hour tomorrow. So triple E students, please come voluntarily, or by the evening I'll give the next 5 students list, and tomorrow you have the seminar session. Fine. Are you all there?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Triple E students, CR of Triple E, CR of Triple E. The next 5 students, I'll be posting it in the WhatsApp group. Whoever is interested, whoever a part of this 5, they can give, and I will assign this in the internal. Right? Actually, tomorrow I have to take the unit test. I'll talk with your class coordinator. If unit test is there, I will inform, or else we'll take the seminar. Fine? Can I close the session?